remember seeing Velvet Goldmine for the first time, being told about it?
Yes, I remember the hearing about it before it came out in the 90s, thinking what an amazing thing. It's a biopic basically of David Bowie, who was my favorite artist for such a long time and still is,
Hmm.
and um, about his affair with Iggy Pop or not, or the alleged sort of thing happening with Lou Reed, the bisexuality of glam rock 70s made by Todd Haynes, who is like also one of my very favorite filmmakers since Superstar. So it was like this amazing project with kind of the actors of the moment who are still incredible to this day, and everybody in it is great, whether it's Ewan McGregor or Jonathan Rhys Meyers or, Christian Bale, of course,
Hmm.
and Toni Collette, who people
Hmm.
uh, sometimes don't think about when she's great in this. Um,
Amazing.
and so I remember hearing about it when it came out. I regrettably, for whatever reason, didn't get to see it in the theater. I don't think it played in the theater for very long. I think that was sort of mired in controversy when it did come out because David Bowie was like adamant about this not being his story. It's not an authorized biography. I think had some problems in that regard and a pretty niche film in a way. So I guess maybe it's one of those things where it wouldn't have had a long run in a theater, although I would have loved to see it in a theater.
Hmm.
I never have, but I have seen this film, I can honestly say, a couple hundred times at the very
Wow.
least.
Wow.
I
Wow.
absolutely love this movie. There's certain movies that I just watch as like a comfort film. It's like a comfort thing. If I'm feeling dysregulated or uncomfortable, I will put this movie on as a kind of meditation. Also, not readily available streaming all the time. I've had this film a couple of times on DVD. There's no Blu-ray, and there's
Hmm.
no commentary track. I feel like people really overlook this film, but there may be reasons because I absolutely love Todd Haynes. I think that this is kind of like the best of all of his rock and roll films. He has pretty great rock and roll films. This is my
Hmm.
favorite of his. Also my favorite Todd Haynes film anyway. But so I had known about it before it came out. Didn't get to see it in theater. Have seen it so many times. It doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually did see it in the theater and watched it again for this. And that was the first time I'd seen it since I saw it in the theater 25 years ago or whatever. But yeah, I think all of those things you said about this, these kind of avatars for glam rock icons, and having this kind of, almost like there is something kind of supernatural. There's all these things about like otherworldly things happening. The brooch that Oscar Wilde owns that kind of gets passed down through the generations, all of those kinds of things. That there's this kind of magical queerness that's infused through the whole thing that I really love. But also just having a movie that in 1998 was totally unapologetically queer, had, scenes like there's an 18-second kiss between Ewan McGregor and Jonathan Rhys Meyers, and an unapologetically queer movie made by an unapologetically queer director, and something that was like so rare and so needed at that specific time. There were so few cultural examples of things that were that overtly queer, at least to my memory. So that was always a really special, important thing for me about it.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It is so unapologetically queer, and it shares a lineage with a lot of John Schlesinger's films, in
Mm.
particular Midnight Cowboy, and also there's some Darling in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of queer moments in Darling, which is another one of my favorite comfort films. That they have the sort of man on the street this like verite images of kind of society happening simultaneously. So you see sort of media existing, and there's a lot of that in Velvet Goldmine, where you see the press commenting on what's going on, and then you see the little girls playing with the dolls, which is a nod to Superstar, acting out these these, these kind of dramas between these rock stars, as I think would have really happened. So you have media happening on every level, not just in the news, but also in like what the kids are doing and talking about it, and what the kids are saying when they're going to these shows, and the queerness, the eroticism. I think you do see some of Ewan McGregor's butthole at some point.
And his dick. Yeah.
You see his dick all over the place. I mean, Kurt Wilde is a great rock star. Perfect. It's a little bit. It's a touch of Gigi Allen, but not so far as you don't get the feces. But you get it is Iggy Pop, but I'm not sure if Iggy Pop actually showed dick and hole. So I don't know. I was not at the early Stooges show, so I cannot attest. But it's a little bit of this great thing, and it's these actors also in that real blush of male beauty, that real.
Right.
They're all incredibly great looking guys, but at the time, this is like male beauty. It is the essence of this is when you want to be photographed, and so Todd Haynes does a beautiful job at capturing the bloom of youth in these three guys.
Yeah. I mean, just Jonathan Rhys Meyers was 19, and all of them, it was pretty early on in their career. I guess Ewan McGregor had just done Train Spotting, so he was kind of a hot commodity. But Jonathan Rhys Meyers, he is so good as a Bowie avatar, but he's also, there's just like this extra layer of kind of cherubic prettiness. He's just like very androgynous, but these like full lips and just this very kind of, baby model face or something. It's just so striking seeing all of those people being so young. They're all such babies. Toni Collette as well, just really
so great.
Like,
such a baby. But Jonathan Rhys Meyers, what I think is so interesting about his performance is you can feel the ambition oozing off of this character, that's the sole purpose of his beauty, his intellect, his sexual prowess. Everything is there to serve the ambition that really derives that character. And I think that's really extraordinary, for such a young actor to have that maturity to portray that underneath all of the beauty and the feathers and the boas and the sparkles and the glitter and the guitars. You have this incredible drive to be famous.
Yeah. And the kind of fearlessness from all three of those young men playing these very queer characters and just throwing themselves into it. Like, ostensibly, they're all straight. Who knows? I'm not going to project my own feelings onto people, but I'm assuming. And sometimes when straight actors take on queer roles, it's like, you don't really know what queerness is and it doesn't quite come across. But all of these people, I just really felt their dedication to their performances, and it all felt really real and really grounded in like the reality of queerness. And I love that.
Yes.
I think that's a testament to Todd Haynes' skill as well.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes through. And especially like Christian Bale, too, who I really perceive his hetero. He is like the most comp het kind of actor. Like I just see him as a straight guy, no matter what. But in this, I love the scene where he's like kind of hiding in his jacket. He just wants to go outside wearing that scoop neck top. And it's so darling. Where he's like hiding his jacket and then going and like walking down the street, really in the queer it is gender euphoria. It is this thing of like, I'm going to be myself for the first time, and it's really remarkable. So I really love his performance, and there is such a romance in this kind. It's not quite a love triangle. It's more just like a love story, sort of a fan story, somebody growing up alongside these rock stars, and then some interaction later. But it's and a really interesting kind of way to tell the story. In a sense, it's a little bit of a queer, almost famous. There's a little
Mhm.
element of that where you have the journalist that's following along, and the relationship to the music, that it's all the passion. And then you have the imagery of real queer rock happening, like Joe Bryant
Mhm.
and glam rock in general going on during that period. So I just love it. And then the soundtrack also is another element where I was so inspired by all of these sort of glam uh sound alike songs, as well as the real songs. They have like Roxy Music, Virginia Plain, which is like the ultimate glam song in there. But I loved the whole shebang by Grant Lee Phillips so much that
Mhm.
I forced Grant to be in a band with me, where we actually did a song that was a sound alike of Whole Shebang. It's called Each and Die, and it's on my Cho Defendant record. And we made a whole video and everything. And Grant and I have made a lot of music together. But the initial genesis of that is because of this film.
Wow, that's amazing. And also, the amount of references to other queer stuff and just references. Did you know that it's like loosely follows the story structure of Citizen Kane? Like, I read that in one place and was like, "Off, that's not real," but it's everywhere. Todd Haynes says it, that there's like all of these little like beats that are following kind of a similar story to Citizen Kane, which is wild.
Right, that
Um,
makes sense to me because it is, I think it's the hat pin or the Jack
mhm,
Fairy's
right.
pin that is Rosebud. That makes I mean, it absolutely makes sense because this is like a tale that is as old as time, really, the tale of, humans achieving power over other humans and how we go about that, and so it is a really, uh kind of mythological tale anyway, and
Mhm.
so that definitely makes sense to me.
Yeah. Um, and then, the references to Oscar Wilde, the references to Jean Genet, all of these like, incredible icons of queerness. And then also just being its own thing. There are these very specific references to like individual Bowie looks, Iggy
Mhm.
Pop looks, but then a kind of unique spin on it. There were things like the notes I took. There's one look that looks like a combination somewhere between Prince and Beethoven.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
yeah, just like totally delicious. Love
It's like Mozart in that, like, the musical genius and that the fetishization of the musical genius. And
it.
that's, when, Jonathan Rhys Meyers' character is singing Hot One, and he's singing into the stargazer lily that's blooming as he's singing into it, which is, like, my favorite thing ever. Like, of course, the flower is gonna bloom as you sing into it. It's just such a delicious image, and I just love that song, and the music video of it, and the way that he's dressed and everything. It is the perfect. He would have been a great rock star if he could probably still do that. He could probably still do it. It's just so genius.
Yeah, I did mean Mozart. Thank you very much. Um, yeah. And my other favorite was like where he's got green makeup and kind of jewels on his face. It's like a little bit giving Jambi from Pee Wee's Playhouse, but in the
Yes.
best, most glamorous possible way.
It's very jumpy. It's also a San Francisco drag queen who did that look, Greg Deborah Taylor,
Mm,
who was a very legendary, glad person, very big activist in San Francisco, big writer, and also a little bit Doja Cat
mm,
from this very recent look of like all the red jewels. So, yeah, I love the glamness of it. But it's all like the styling to me is really interesting because when you have the glam juxtaposed to Christian Bale's characters like drab plaid sheepskin kind of like thing where
mhm.
he's like go underneath all of that is all the little rock and roll badges and the low cut shirt, and then later he gets the shag haircut and the eye makeup. It's really, not just the glam of the era. It is like the people trying to emulate the glam of the era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is perfect. It's like exactly what did happen with people who are fans of the glam rock superstars. Um, all of that is amazing, and then the other side, the sort of real world Christian Bale side of everything. That's like him being a journalist, but also his home life with his family. That the moment where he is watching TV and sees the Jonathan Rhys Meyers on TV and jumps up and just screams, "That's me! That's me!"
Yeah.
It just kills me. It's like that moment of recognition. I mean, I think that any queer person, anyone who's from any marginalized or underrepresented community, having that recognition, seeing someone who reflects who you are in some form of mass media is this revelation. And it just like brings tears to my eyes. It's so
It's
amazing.
so beautiful. It is beautiful. It is like, I wonder if that's what Todd may have felt when he saw Bowie on Top of the Pop put his arm around Mick Ronson, and then it's a very sexualized like embrace. But that's me. It's the queerness on display in plain sight with your family in a very innocent context, in the same way that shows like the validation of existence. It's really beautiful.
Mm. Yeah. And another thing that I really loved, I mean, I know this is not exactly the same time period, but when I think of queer movies of like the late 90s and early 2000s that are made by straight people, Brokeback Mountain being a movie that at the time I saw it and I was just like, I don't need any more movies about how sad it is to be queer. I don't need any more movies about how being queer means that you're going to die or you're going to have the love of your life and the love of your life is going to be beaten to death. Off. I want joy. And with this movie, it's like he says this stuff in front of his parents. His parents kind of go, "Huh?" Like they don't really understand. But that's as far as it goes. It's like more about the joy of him finding his community, his chosen family, the people who he identifies with, and infusing the story with that energy. That's what I need.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're so exhausted from gay tragedy. We see enough gay tragedy in our lives every day. We see enough of it. So when we go to the movies, and gay people love the movies, I would say more than most. So we love the movies. And when we can actually like have a good time in the movies and sort of leave all of the tragedy behind for a moment, it's so rewarding. And this film really offers that, because there is sort of the glitz and glam, when he goes, and now he's going to be managed by Eddie Izzard. So they get real glam up, taking the photo shoot on the mansion, and they're doing all these sort of things. It's that 70s, when the 70s wants to be in the 30s, that aesthetic, it just blends so beautifully. It's a great cinematic experience.
Yeah. And also just the fact that it mirrors this fantastic period with music and culture when androgyny or playing with gender and playing with sexuality was becoming a part of the mainstream, and you had these people like David Bowie, who I cannot describe how much I love him. Just the fearlessness and the pride, he just oozes confidence and just really doesn't give a wants to be as creative and expressive as he can be. And it was the way that his career moved throughout his life, that it was constant change, constantly trying to push himself forward. I mean, right up until he died, he was doing amazing new things.
So amazing, even including backtracking in the 80s, where it sort of became this very, like, I am now this corporate rock star. I'm now very mainstream. and it's a really interesting incarnation when there's some nods to it in the film where it's like, oh, he's completely unrecognizable to what he was before, but still
Mm.
great. And it's just so, like, to me, that's a really fun way to play with that legacy of like, well, let's turn around and do something different. It is that rock star reimagining. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you said, like he kind of wasn't too interested in the movie, and he didn't give them the rights to the music. Although I read interviews with the cast that said maybe that was a good thing, that it might have been too much of a distraction if you had it like a little too on the nose to have Jonathan Rhys Meyers actually singing David Bowie songs. But the music that is in it, like all of these crazy people were involved, like Tom York and Johnny Greenwood, all,
Yeah.
like incredible musicians, all lending their voices and helping to collaborate to make this music. So it all worked out for the best, I think.
Yeah, and also digging up really great glam favorites, so like Dead Finks Don't Talk, whenever you put in some Brian Eno, whenever you're doing, Needle in the Camel's Eye is probably one of my favorite songs, and it's the best opening sequence where you see the glam kids running to the concert. I love a running in a rock and roll movie. Like you have it in this, from this to Licorice Pizza. Licorice Pizza probably has the most running of any movie, but there is so much running in this movie. I want to run to this glam concert. I want to go run and see Ziggy and the Spiders from Mars. I want to be running with the platform shoes and the feather boa flying behind, and that you might drop your top hat, but you can run back and get it. I love that.
Yeah. And also the like exhilaration and kind of, manic energy coming from all these kids who are so excited about this music and so excited about the fashion and all of the things that go with it. And then the devastation of having him fake his own death on stage, which again is like obviously directly mirrors what Bowie did with Ziggy Stardust, which is like, to my mind, one of the most like badass epic things that any rock star has ever done, where like I don't think he even told the band. It was just like he went on stage and was like, oh, by the way, this is done now and I'm never doing this again, bye.
So incredible. It's so incredible, and it can only happen in the context of glam rock because it never really works in any other context. Like when with Chris Gaines.
Yeah.
When Garth Brooks tried to do it with Chris Gaines.
Yeah.
It just, for some reason, it is a glam rock specific kind of thing. Maybe because glam rock is so alien and is so about persona and mask and playing a role and the actor creating something and it being very conscious. I'm not sure. There's something about it. It really can only exist there.
Yeah. And it is, specifically with Ziggy Stardust, it's like it is this other person. I mean, I would say a character, but I think it was more involved than that. It was like he had created this whole life for this person that he was being on stage. And then just again, the balls on him to just at the height of his fame, when people are just going absolutely about that, saying, nope, moving on.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. And it's something that I think we're going to keep. That's why the music is still so iconic. That's why it's almost separate from the rest of Bowie's catalog in a sense. If you look at his discography, we're going to always look at Ziggy Stardust as this separate identity, and one that's actually so ahead of everything, above everything. It's really interesting. It's because he framed it like an artist should.
Right. And then, there's this BBC docuseries where they did one episode with him right after, I think it was like when he was about to go on tour for Young Americans, and just hearing him kind of talk, I mean, like high as a kite the whole time. So that was definitely a part of it. But like there's a thing with him just like sitting in the back of this limousine and being asked questions about like making that monumentous decision and whatever, and he's just kind of like, it's like it's not a big deal, just moving on.
He's just drinking some milk and eating peppers and
Right,
saying,
right.
we got to do other stuff, which is his prerogative.
Mm,
I love the Young Americans era as well. It's very different energy, very different music. It's a totally different artist completely.
right.
So I love all of it, but Ziggy Stardust is my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. And, I think the again, the tie-in with this era and this film, not just the David Bowie stuff, but Iggy Pop and Lou Reed a little bit in there as well, that people who were either queer or like on the edges of queer or cool with queer people.
Mm-hmm.
I think Iggy Pop's pretty straight. But the way that Ewan McGregor conveys that kind of energy, that it's like, again, a different kind of fearlessness where it's just like, uh, you know, absolutely no inhibitions, not really playing a character, but just, bearing not just his body, but his soul, just really letting everything fly on stage. And the way that David Bowie's energy and Iggy Pop's energy could be seen as in opposition to each other, but also were very complementary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I find all of that stuff fascinating too. I mean, the time that they spent together and the work that they did together, really, yeah.
It's
I'm
beautiful. It's legendary, and it's also like Ewan McGregor's performance. It's a cross between Iggy Pop and what's the drummer from the Muppet Show? It's
animal.
Animal.
Yeah.
It's
Mm,
very Animal because it's very like he looks like Animal, but he also looks like Iggy Pop. And
yeah.
also, it's just like it is about like what is rock and roll underneath it all. It is like this communication with another world. It is like you're making a deal with the devil and we don't know what's going to happen, and so it's that kind of like whatever that is, that alchemy that is created when like guitars and like drums and these vocals collide, like what happens. And so that to me is like real magical.
Yeah. And also a little bit in the scenes where he's in the studio and ends up kind of freaking out because he's doing all these takes that nobody appreciates. A little Kurt Cobain.
Yeah,
There's
yeah, for sure.
and I was thinking, like, is that an intentional reference? Because it's not somebody who's from that time period, but I think it was. And I also think that it fits. Like
It fits.
Kurt
It totally
Cobain,
fits.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Um,
he looks like him too. Like he's styled
mm,
quite like Kurt Cobain. I think that must be intentional too, the
mm,
way that he looks. And that Kurt Cobain himself also had a very feminine side that he was not afraid of and
yeah.
not afraid to investigate and
Mhm,
go into. And he wasn't afraid to feminize himself in any way because he didn't need to show off with the sort of like toxic masculinity of the sort of cock rock of the previous era from the 80s. So he was just very secure in his masculinity. It was kind of a new kind of masculinity. So I do think that there is some Kurt Cobain in there.
yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. I think having men in rock and roll who have, it is very masculine. There is, it is a version of masculinity, and there's a spectrum there in this movie and in the artists of that time and in Kurt Cobain. But not only presenting a really authentic version of queerness, but presenting a very authentic version of what it means to present masculinity and ways that you can reject masculinity when you are a cis man. um that all of that stuff combined with the music, with the cast, with this beautiful set decoration and costumes and makeup and all of that stuff, it's just good
I love
stuff.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I love the opening was all about, Oscar Wilde, and it's kind of a misdirect, like, what is this movie
Mm.
and what's going on? And it really ties it all together, and it's really about this fantastic fairy tale of rock and roll and love and ambition and glitter. It's really a really important film for me, and it's one of the reasons why it's like I've seen it so many times, but it's just every time I see it, it puts me in a comfortable state of mind.
Yeah. I think that is a lovely note on which to finish.
Yes.
Thank you so much. What a joy. This has been really, really wonderful.
Thank you. So wonderful.
Hey, do you want more conversations with incredible people talking about the movies and music they love? Then subscribe to the Spark Parade YouTube channel.